On this episode, it is a mini timeline of a little bit of a lesser known series that actually has a cult following, and we're talking about the 976 Evil series. It's only 2 movies about an evil phone line, which sounds pretty simple, right? I mean, so let's check it out and see if it makes any sense, or if we're gonna be blocking that number.
So the call came through back in 1988 with 976 Evil, directed by Robert Englund. That's right, Freddy himself made this movie, one of only 2 feature films that he himself directed. We open with a man getting haunted by phone calls, and a pretty damn impressive fire stunt. And I think I need to take a second here to explain 976 lines to younger viewers. You see, in the 80s, and the 90s, there was a fad for a while where you would call these 976 lines, which cost money to call, as were their brothers, the 1-900 numbers. The longer that you were on the line, the more expensive the call. I mean, even Freddy had one. It was just, you called the number and it was a pre-recorded message that you paid for.
To my younger viewers out there, the next time that somebody rolls their eyes at you for enjoying TikTok, just remind them that they used to pay money to use their landline to listen to a recorded message from, like, the Coreys.
We meet punker Spike and then Evil Ed, and Spike has a motorcycle magazine from 1987, so unless it's an old issue, I guess we're in most likely in 1987 here. And it has an ad for a 976 number in it. So Spike just immediately calls it because he's apparently an ad agent's greatest dream. I mean, hey, this just fell out of a magazine at random. Let's give it a call. The phone gives the date as being November 28th, 1988, so that's actually our year, which is weird because it's post-Thanksgiving and yet there's not a single Christmas decoration anywhere. And it rains fish. Hoax is picked on in school, and Susie here would later appear with Englund in Freddy's Dead, and Hoax keeps on calling the line, causing chaos, conducting rituals, and eventually killing Susie, causing a rift between him and Spike. While tracking down the source of the phone number, coincidentally in the same area as him, we run into Eddie Quist, and Hoax grows claws, and powering up in a classic 80s optical effect, and then gets attacked by 2 shirtless men in what could be a scene from one of Stephen Joffrey's later movies. And I would like to call this thug out for being one of the more sensible people I've ever seen in a horror movie. When he realizes that Hoax is a maniac, he immediately grabs his girlfriend, throws her over his shoulder, and runs the hell out of the room. Unfortunately, he squanders that by just hiding out on the roof and not continuing to run away, just like standing there waiting outside the door. Hoax eventually becomes more and more demonic, killing his mom and turning his house into an icy hell and opening a portal to actual hell. Spike tosses him down to there, but the 976 line lives on, and the weird insinuation here is, I guess, that not many people have been affected by this since the results are pretty extreme, which means that, I guess, not many people have actually called the number, which kind of makes sense since I don't actually know anyone that really called one either. So, unfortunately, the film didn't do that well at the box office and was pretty poorly regarded. But nevertheless, there was a sequel made 4 years later with 1992's 976 Evil 2, The Astral Factor, no longer directed by Englund and now taken over by Jim Wynorski, which is probably a downgrade, but I guarantee will make it more fun. I mean, there's a production of Faust that's directed by Joe Bob Briggs, and I'm down to watch that any day. Spike is back, and he's investigating a series of killings because I guess he's now trying to prevent more instances of the phone line influencing people, but, I mean, why not report them by writing a stern letter to the Better Business Bureau or something? I mean, dear BBB, this line turned my cousin into a demon who killed my lady friend. I'd like to file a consumer complaint, please. I mean, maybe even, I don't know, get the FCC involved, something, other than just driving around, tracking it down. The phone call says it's September 15th, but it no longer gives the year, and the silky smooth voice of Buck Flower is here. Spike goes to Cadillac Jack's, which is a pretty famous location, and is where the intro of The Ginger Dead Man takes place, actually. And there's this new thing in which the dean of the local college, who is the demon's new pawn, has some sort of factor in which he can project his astral form. One might call it an astral factor.
It is in the title. I mean, it's right there.
Wynorski fixtures Ace Mask and Monique Gabrielle appear, and there's one of those guns whose bullets don't go through couches. This day planner tells us that it's 1991, so it's 3 years after the first film, and hey, look, it's that car crash footage that Wynorski always uses. It's like his version of the Troma car flip, although this looks to be where that footage originated from. There's a bizarre appearance by Red Sonja, not looking so red here, and Grubex's powers are kind of unclear as he appears on a TV and sucks Paula into the TV where she becomes a part of It's a Wonderful Life?
How does this qualify as astral projection?
Everyone becomes zombies, and it's a pretty great sequence made possible by the power of public domain, but again, not astral projection. Grubeck goes full demon mode like Hooks before him, and they realize that they have to kill his body to stop his astral form, and Robin's in love, and I have a hard time with someone having a nice romantic moment while referring to someone as Spike. Buffy not included. Grubeck goes from being able to transport somebody directly into a TV program to only being able to chase someone in a truck. And there's a pretty cool stunt sequence, and then, whoa, Spike becomes an astral form too, allowing him to, I guess, astral punch Grubes off a cliff, and then head to the afterlife. The police arrive.
I just feel so badly. If I'd have just listened to what you were saying.
But then they immediately don't listen to her and arrest her for killing Grubeck. I mean, how is that not self-defense? They know he killed all the cops at the station, and he was coming after her. Why would they think that she murdered him? Anyway, the phone rings at the end because although Grubeck was killed, the phone number goes on, and even if this series did not, because the Devil's Plan really lacked some foresight here. I mean, did he not foresee how short-lived the 976 lines would be? I mean, it's like him and the trickster from Brainscan got together to figure out who could come up with the more short-lived technology of influence, and like, where was the movie about the haunted HD DVD player, huh?
So there you have it. It's two movies that actually do have a timeline and continuity. It actually works. I mean, Spike returns. He doesn't really mention how long ago the previous events were, but he references them, and it does actually make sense in terms of a time frame and continuity. So I guess bravo to these movies for having that. I know it's only two of them. I guarantee you if we got up to 976 Evil Part 6, that it would all fall apart. But still, not a bad job, and not two terrible movies. The first one is actually fairly forgettable. I mean, they're both kind of forgettable. Neither one of them is that outstanding of a flick, but they're both pretty entertaining. The second one is slightly more fun than the first one, even if the first one has a little bit more respectability to it, with the people involved and the stars of the film, whereas the second one's a little goofier and campier and trashier. But it does have that great It's a Wonderful Life / Night of the Living Dead sequence, which is probably the most memorable thing from it. And all in all, pretty entertaining flicks. I mean, if you haven't seen them, they're worth checking out. At least once, they're worth checking out. So I would recommend that. If you've seen these and liked these and you want to recommend them, put it in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all that good stuff. Check out the patrons. These guys help keep the channel going, and I thank them for that. You can become a patron too by going to patreon.com/movietimelines and helping to support the channel. But you also help support the channel just by watching these videos, and hopefully you'll do so very shortly when I have another great one coming up there. So thank you guys. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.